Hey guys, it's Marko from Marko Gajic Music, bringing you guys another video. So today, I'm actually going to be doing a review of these KRK ROKIT 7s. This is the 4th generation of these speakers. I've had them for a couple of months now, wanted to share my thoughts. Okay, so let's get straight into the video. I think best place to get started is price point for the speakers. These are generally sold individually, so careful when you go online to Amazon or Sweetwater to purchase them because it is only going to come as one. But they're about 320 Canadian dollars a piece. Full disclosure, I got these things used on Gajic. If you're watching from the US, it's the equivalent to Craigslist. I would honestly recommend it. You can find some really good audio deals on used marketplaces, and relatively they're lightly used. Speakers are something that are a pretty safe bet to buy used, based on my experience. Now, some of you may be familiar. I did a review on the Mackie CR3s in the past. They were budget studio reference monitors. We could more so call them bookshelf speakers. I thought those were pretty good, but when I came across the deal for these KRKs, it was a solid deal. I didn't want to pass it up, and I was kind of browsing for a while anyway. So it was right for me to make the purchase at the time. One thing I want to note about the speakers as well is if you are new to reference monitors and you want to pick these up, just keep in mind that you will require an audio interface. And what I'm using right now is an M-Audio M-Track or the M-Audio Air, the newer version. So that's about $200 as well that you have to factor into your purchase in order to run these speakers. Okay, so price aside, I'm just going to list off a couple of basic specs for the speakers. Full disclosure, I'm not an audio professional by any means, so I'll keep it fairly basic and give my general thoughts and provide a recommendation. Okay, so as far as basic specs for the speakers go, frequency response is 42 hertz to 40 kilohertz. The output power is 145 watts, so they do drain quite a bit of power. It's in the name, so it's a 7-inch subwoofer. It's the KRK ROKIT 7. 7-inch subwoofer, 1-inch tweeter, and they're both Kevlar, which is kind of the flagship thing for the KRK brand. What I'm currently using on my setup, which I'll show you, it's a 1/4-inch input into my audio interface, and then there's also the XLR plugin in the back. Okay, so let's just get straight into what I like about the speakers. I think they sound great. A common criticism for KRK as a brand is that it's a very neutral response, a very neutral sound on a lot of their offerings and various speakers over the years. And to an extent, that's intentional, right? They're supposed to be used for professional purposes, for mixing audio, and you don't want too much bass, you don't want too much treble to skew what that sound actually sounds like, because you want an accurate representation when you're doing audio work. But I find for these specifically, they're not too flat. Like, there's a decent amount of bass on them, and they're very enjoyable to listen to, not just for when I'm doing any mixing work or when I'm recording, but when I'm on Spotify, I'm listening to rap, EDM, metal music. There's a solid amount of bass to make it very enjoyable to listen to. So I find them great as a recreational speaker, just as good as they are for mixing. I also really enjoy the front bass firing port, so you'll see it right there at the bottom. Just because it's located right there, a lot of the bass is coming out through the front of the speakers. It's not going out through the rear like you'll see on some other speakers. And if you have the speakers very close to a wall like here, I find it's good for these types of setups because you don't have that bass coming through the rear of the speaker, bouncing off the walls and then giving that extra rumble that's just unnecessary. So I feel the design is really solid on the KRK ROKIT 7s. The other thing I want to bring up, I think they look great. In general, I love the look of all KRK speakers. I think the yellow Kevlar subwoofer and tweeter combination, it's iconic. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and if that's something that you value, I definitely consider that in your purchase. I think they're up there with the Yamaha white subwoofer look, and they look great. As far as the cons go, and this is going to be my criticism for any larger speakers, definitely factor in the weight when you're purchasing them. These things are about 16 pounds a piece, so make sure that your desk is able to hold them. This is a standing desk that I got from IKEA behind me. I was trying for a period of time to just have the speakers on the desk, but it was flexing it. It has some weight to it. So I ended up opting for getting some Kanto music speaker stands on Amazon, and shifted them off to these side little bookshelf things. So it's been a little bit better that way. Looks a little bit better as far as the setup goes, but definitely that's what I'm not a fan of with larger speakers, is that they do take up a lot of room, and you have to factor in the additional cost of getting any stands or anything else to make it work for you, especially if you're in a smaller room and you have a smaller desk. Another thing that I don't like is this rear LCD. I'll show you a few panning shots of it, but although there is built-in EQ in these speakers, and you'll see you have like high shelf and low shelf, you can try to optimize the speakers to better suit the area that you're sitting in. It's a bit of a clunky interface. It looks really old school, and it's just doesn't really do it for me personally. Some of you might come out and say you're an audio newbie, and you know, they might be able to use the full functionality of that, but when I read about it versus when I received the speakers and try to use it, I didn't really receive the benefit that I thought I would out of it. One other thing I want to mention, the hissing. So it's fairly common with larger speakers. You hear it with these as well. You're always going to hear a constant hiss. If you're okay with that, you can live with it. I've gotten used to it, but there's this subtle that's constantly running on these speakers, and then once they go inactive for a while, they'll kind of go to sleep and it'll shut off. But it's definitely noticeable. Final thing that I dislike about these speakers is the power buttons in the rear. So it just makes it a bit of a hassle to turn them on and turn them off all the time. So what I've done to mitigate that is just getting like, you know, those remote wireless plugs from whether it's IKEA, Walmart, Amazon, and just always have it set to on the speakers in the back, and then turn it on with the one click of a button wirelessly. Now, for anybody who has electrical experience, hopefully that's not bad for the longevity of speakers, but I generally keep the volume a little bit lower on them, so I'm not turning them on max power and breaking anything, but I'll let you guys know how it works long term. Overall, there's not much else to say. I want to keep the video pretty short. They're large speakers, they have built-in EQ, they have balanced inputs in the back. They're more of the mid-range in KRK's lineup, and really, if you're just getting into the game of recording, or you want a general speaker that you want to enjoy to listen to, I'd recommend these. I'd give them a solid 4.5 out of 5, and I think a lot of people would agree just looking at some of the reviews on Amazon or whether it's Google. It's generally a well-reviewed speaker. I've enjoyed them so far. I haven't had any major issues to report. Some of the downsides that I listed, like the hissing or the size, like that is common with other speakers in this segment as well, so I can't really ding them too much. But the key is the sound quality, and if the sound quality is great, that's all you can really ask for speakers. So overall, I would recommend these. And again, we'll see. I might upgrade to something else in the next couple of months, in the next year or so, but I'm satisfied for now, and I hope these things can last me for a while, and my favorable opinion continues with them. Let me know what you think. Do you own the KRK ROKIT 7s? Let me know your thoughts. Is there anything that you feel that I missed in this video or can improve? If you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe. I'll be making more reviews like this. I make guitar covers here and there, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.